There we go. All right, so I can either just create stuff in the assembly and then work on it, which sometimes works. But usually what will happen is I'll create one part, put it into assembly, and then from that we can start adding other parts to it. And so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to go and place something else. There. So I'm going to enter this part into my assembly. One. There we go. I've got a part of my assembly. Save my assembly. And now let's say I wanted to create another part that needs to line up with this one somehow, okay? I can come in here and there's that create component button here. I can click on that. And now it's asking me, what do I want to save this file as and where do I want to put it? So whatever I put here is the component name, and that's what's going to save as the file name. So I'm going to call it top down. It's going to go into that same project folder and say OK. And now I'm going to tell it I want to start it on that face. So now it's created a new part called top down. And if I look at the origin of it is on that kind of the corner of that face that I picked. So now I could create a sketch, either pick on the plane here, or I can pick on that other face, that other piece. But you can see it does not automatically project the edges because that's from another part. But could I use those edges that are already there? Yeah, I can just tell it to project, and now I can just project them manually. And I can draw a line. I don't know, maybe I want it to be up half an inch from the bottom there. And I extrude. You see, it's not wanting to add it to anything else because what's already there is part of another piece. So I can't add it to it, but it is creating a new solid there. So I can say, sure, I want it there. And you can see that now I've, this part is created there. That part is there. So let's say I want to put my hole in now. So I'm going to create a sketch here. And I want to grab that center point of that other hole. So where is it? If I turn off visibility of this, I can project that hole. Now turn my visibility back on. And now I can just finish the sketch, create a hole on that point. Now it lines up there. Then I can go in and kind of do whatever else I need to do. I don't know, whatever, make the rest of my piece. And you can see I'm still working here. What does this symbol mean? What do you think that means? It's on these features, but it's not on that feature. What? Yep, it's using something from another piece, another part. Okay. So I can hit return. I'm back here, so I can see that original part. I can see this new part here. And it's already, I don't have to add a constraint to it because it's already drawn in place. It's already locked to the edges of that other piece. Okay? So you can do this also. Or you could start the pieces, put them together, and then finish the pieces. That's called middle out. Okay? So either what bottom up, where you draw the parts separately and then put them together. That's kind of what we've been doing. You can keep doing that, or you can do it like this, where you model it in the assembly and go down, top down. Either way is okay. But they do need to be separate part files. Once I hit save, it's telling me, okay, I'm going to save that part. I can say, okay, and it saves it. If I open up this part 1, and so tell my width to be 5. Come on. And that froze it. But if I made any changes here that affected this part, when I go back to that assembly, the second part would change also. Okay? Well, that's going. And SolidWorks has a similar function. Do. Oops. So if I create a new assembly from this part, I can do a new part. So it gives me a new part, and I just need to tell it where I want to draw. So I can go back. Now I can see I have my original part there, and I have this new part that I created. And when I tell it to save, it's going to ask me where do I want to save the assembly. And then it's going to ask me, what do I want to do with my new part? Do I want to save it internally, which means that it gets saved as a separate part, but it's part of the assembly file, and it's not going to have its own file? Or do I want to save it externally and have its own file for it? And so doing it externally is better usually, because then you can use it on other things. If you do it internally, you can't reuse that part on another project or anything. So I can tell it externally, go here, check my path, say okay. So if I go here, It's better if I change the name, but whatever. Okay. So I can do that. And now I've got parts that are in there that are created based on other parts. And I can create them and I can edit them in the assembly. Okay. So both ways work. They kind of have their own strengths and weaknesses. What's a good strength of modeling the parts separately and putting them together using the bottom up method? What's a good strength of that one? Yeah, they're all kind of on their own. So if you know all your details about each individual part, bottom up is great because you just draw that part, you stick them together. It's kind of straightforward, it's easy, you don't have to worry about another part changing or anything like that. If you're trying to build parts that are related to each other, and the relationships are really important, but you're not quite sure the exact sizes of everything, then doing top down is usually a little bit easier for that. But then now everything's related to each other. So if one part changes, it changes all the parts, and even if you don't want it to. So they kind of have their trade-offs of which is better in different applications. So it's up to you how you want to do it, okay? If we look at this problem, it gives you the dimensions from one part to the other and things like that. And so some things like where this side is here, it doesn't tell you, oh, it does tell you that, right? So it is 80 minus 10. So yeah, it's the same. Just everything's there. So some of these you might have to get the dimensions from like where this is. You'll have to get those dimensions from over here, things like that. So you can build it together, or you could build them separate pieces and put them together, okay? It's up to you. Just when you assemble it, make sure that it's assembled with the right numbers so that this face is 60 back from there. So if you're modeling it in place, so you're doing top down, model it 60 back. If you're doing it in separate pieces, just draw it, and then when you assemble it, make sure it's positioned correctly, okay? Any questions? Remember to break down your sketches. Should you just draw this entire outline all at once and extrude it? No, break it down. About drawing the entire outline of this thing. Should you just do that and then extrude it? No. Break it down. Okay? Any questions? No. All right. Yeah. I don't care. Try either one. You've been doing a lot of bottom up, so if you want to try something new, try top down. If you want to keep doing what we've already been doing, then do a bottom up. If you do fusion, you're probably going to do top down because it's easier to do that. That's how fusion is meant to be used. Doing bottom up in fusion is actually harder because the updates take longer when you change pieces, but you can do it either way. Any other questions? No? All right. So then get to work.